Dominic Toretto. You're about to learn all about fear. Boom! You built such a beautiful life, filled with love and family. I never got that chance. You stole that from me.
The 10th installment of the Fast and the Furious movie franchise zooms into theaters this weekend, and as was the case in the previous films, it's a lot of bonkers fun.
Let's race!
Jason Momoa is the new villain who's out for revenge, and so he targets Dom and his family.
You will never be able to break my family.
Now look, the story's all over the place, but that's not why people go to see these movies. It's the muscle car action sequences, which are once again top-notch. It's a thrilling, physics-defying joyride of a movie, especially for fans of the franchise.
That was awesome!
$100 you can't make more shots.
Let's just do 300.
It's not my dad's money.
White Men Can't Jump gets a modern update over on Hulu. This is a story about a couple of ballers who come from very different worlds, but they bond over their love of basketball. Sinqua Walls and Jack Harlow star, and while they're not as good as Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson in the 1992 original, they do have an oddball chemistry, which makes for an okay but slight sports drama with some fun moments of comedy.
They're gonna kill him in the parking lot.
I'm out here. He got a flamethrower.
Flamethrower? What is this, Mad Max?
And that's what's new this weekend at the movies. I'm Sean McBride, the movie guy.
Something's wrong here.
I know.
Something's out of order.
We changed positions.
That's what it is.
Musical chairs happen.
What is not
guess.
the same? Well, we did change chairs because Sean McBride, the movie guy, is stepping in. Tell us a little bit about.
Sitting in the Dan seat of power. I feel very empowered today. May not go well, but.
Well, yeah, it may go south on you real quick. But I was going to ask, this is one of those weeks where you could have 15 movies, but people that only know one. I mean, it's,
that is correct.
You know,
Yeah, and it's a big one too.
It's a huge one. It's widely expected. Although I think tracking is only saying 60 million. That's what the studio released, a $60 million opening. But the big thing is they're expecting hundreds of millions overseas, particularly in China. This is a film franchise. We're talking about the Fast and the Furious franchise here. This is a franchise that's made its money overseas in particular.
But at what point, and pardon the pun, do you start to run out of gas in a franchise like this? I mean, you've lost characters.
Oh, no, you haven't.
Paul Walker?
Oh, come on. Just because they die doesn't mean they're not in these movies.
Yeah.
You know?
All right.
So,
What number is this, too?
So technically this is number 10, unless you count the Hobbs and Shaw movie.
10, wow.
And they've been talking about, okay, let's try and get, this is kind of a two-parter. Vin Diesel actually said there might be a three-parter. We don't know if that's an official thing or not. So Fast 10 here, the 10th in the franchise officially. And look, like Dan was saying, the story has run out of gas. This story is so silly, and there's so many characters. I know that's something you always say, Dan, is with a Marvel movie, you need a refresher. I went back and I read the Wikipedia plot descriptions of all of these, and I don't remember half of it. But that's not the reason why you're coming to see these movies. These plots are so out of place, and the characters, there's so many of them. In the credits, you know, at the end when they say with so-and-so and so-and-so, because they're not part of the main cast, but they're a big star, there are 7 or 8 of those at the end. This cast of like 700, I think we're up to right now. Many of whom you're like, wait a minute, didn't that person die in a previous movie? Maybe, maybe not. Nobody ever stays dead in these movies. So look, it's so you're not there for the plot, but you're there for the stunts and the special effects. And I do think those are still really, really good. Now, granted, the last movie, they drove a car to outer space. We don't do anything quite as outrageous this time.
Okay.
And some of the stunts we've seen before. You know, like there's a moment where the child, Dom's kid, jumps from car to car. Well, we saw Letty do that in a previous movie. You know, so some of them, they're revisiting their greatest hits, and that's fine. And certainly this movie itself starts off with Fast 5 from 10 years ago, because the idea is that Jason Momoa's character is the son of the bad guy that our heroes beat in that previous movie. And now he's become obsessed with getting his revenge and making Dominic, as Vin Diesel's character, making him, you know, suffer like he did. You know, okay, fine. That was I like Fast 5, and I would argue that was the reboot of this franchise into something more than just a caper flick, you know. Stuff. And these things have just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's not always a positive. But like I say, if you're there for the special effects and the stunts, I think you'll be happy. I think this movie is no better or worse than the last one, which was good. The stunts are on par with the last one. I think it's really well done. If there's an additional positive, it's Jason Momoa coming on board. He just leans into his bad guy character, and it just gives it a campy appeal to it. It's kind of a queer-coded character, to be quite honest, but it's just, he's having a blast with that. Think of it kind of a Heath Ledger Joker, type thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
So where does Statham play into this?
Statham just shows up halfway. I mean, all these characters, they're not really in it, and then they are, and they have a moment here. You know, it's interesting because perhaps the most interesting thing of this movie is that Vin Diesel and the director, Justin Lin, had a huge falling out to the point where the director was changed halfway through. And then subsequently, this movie is a bunch of smaller stories where, like, Vin Diesel is off doing his thing, but not with the main crew. Michelle Rodriguez is out doing her thing with Charlize Theron, and they're not really with the rest of the story. And you have that same thing where Jason Statham is now with Ludacris and, Tyrese Gibson and folks, and they're kind of on separate adventures. And the idea is that they went off, and now they're going to come together in the next movie, I'm sure. It's a little disjointed, unfortunately, but that's.
I bet there are cars and things blow up.
That's all the people want.
You forgot to say spoiler alert, Dan.
Oh yeah. What else do you need? Right?
Look, there's the opening scene. I think is pretty good. It reminds me of the Indiana Jones, giant ball, but that's a bomb, and they're rolling it towards the Vatican. And are they going to blow up the Vatican? Sure, why not? Let's do something outrageous like that. So.
Okay, so is this the only movie that's opening this weekend?
There is one other one that's on Hulu, and that would be called White Man Can't Jump. It's a remake of the 1992 film.
Woody Harrelson, right?
Wesley Snipes, Woody Harrelson, correct. So, and this time it's Cinco Walls, and it's I forgot the guy's name, Jack Harlow, the singer rapper out of Kentucky, right?
Yep.
And so anyway, they're getting together. It's the same story. The one guy is a hothead who was supposed to be a big NBA prospect, but he blew out. He got into a fight, and the other guy was playing for Gonzaga, but he blew out his knee. And the two of them come together, and it kind of has the ability of, let's do a grift on this, and people will think that it's a black guy and a white guy, and the white guy can't jump, can't play ball, although they frequently said, nobody believes that white guys can't play ball anymore. And so it's kind of got an updated mentality. Certainly, it's not as mired in the 90s race relations as that first one was. I'll be honest with you, I think there's an interesting oddball chemistry between Harlow and Walls here. I think it's okay. I think if you're a fan of the original film, you might appreciate some of this, but you're going to say this is not as good as that 1992 original with Harrelson and Snipes.
Okay. And I know you guys talked about this probably in my absence last week, the Michael J. Fox.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
I highly recommend. I came
was
back
really
and told
good.
Macy. It's one of those. I think it's interesting in a storytelling manner that they used old clips from previous shows to make you see his life.
And I was fascinated by the physical therapy side of it, to seeing, the behind the scenes.
Right.
It was interesting that very same week, the Houston Texans 360 on CBS at night did a feature on a linebacker, line guy, and he trains in the off season in a boxing gym, but he trains Parkinson's patients, and it's kind of the same thing that they use this physicality to get these people to help overcome their bodies. They're trying to regain control of it. I thought that was really fascinating stuff.
Boxing has really taken off for treatment on that and kind of just working through some of those issues.
Because it's about balance. It's about,
Absolutely.
Stamina. Whatnot.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But that one, it did make me think. Sometimes watching back, they would play the old movie clips, and I'm looking, well, that looks a lot like Michael J. Fox. I thought it was an actor, and they were kind of doing like a flashback and had someone fill in, but it was real.
They were talking about how many thousands of hours of different, media they searched through to find clips that would work.
He did great.
While they're telling this story.
And not just that, remember, he had done a book, so they had a lot of audio of him that they could repurpose into the movie.
That's
as
true,
well.
too.
I'm with you.
What was the time? That's on...
That's on Apple.
Apple.
And White Man Can't Jump's on Hulu.
What did I see? There was something out on Prime this week that looked, I think I told you about it.
Oh, it's Air, but that's
Air.
that's just moved to streaming. Yeah.
For sure.
So.
All right, so there you go.
Plenty
Couple
of
options for the weekend, which is going to be a hot one. You might want to stay inside.
Or go see in the air conditioning at the movie theater. So.
There you go. All right, all that out there. So enjoy some of that, Sean, as always. Thank you, sir, for dropping by. Sean McBride, the movie guy. It is 37 past the hour. Still to come this morning. Get you caught up on what you can expect this weekend in your forecast.